Hello, world. Welcome to episode 190 of the Jimmy Canz Show. Classic Supercard retrospective time. Let's go in the old Wayback Machine and take a look at WCW Super Brawl 3. All right. Super Brawl 3 obviously was a WCW promoted event. It was held in Asheville, North Kakalaki at the Asheville Civic Center on February 21st, 1993. It aired live on pay-per-view, later released on VHS, courtesy of Turner Home Entertainment. 6,500 in attendance, 8-match card, and the action called by Tony Schiavone and Jesse the Body Ventura. Let's get into it. The opening contest of Super Bowl III was tag team action. The officially christened Hollywood Blondes, one stunning Steve Austin and flying Brian Pillman, taking on Marcus Bagwell and Eric Watts. Blondes pick up the W in this one. Solid 16 plus minute opener. Um, really got things started off on a high note, and it was actually followed up by another burner in terms of match quality, as the second match on the card saw Too Cold Scorpio take on a young Chris Benoit. This one going close to 20 minutes, and Scorpio picking up the W in this one. Third match kind of was the first, I mean, for lack of a better way to describe it, dud, more or less. The recently signed Davey Boy Smith made pretty quick work of Wild Bill Irwin in under 6 minutes. So this was basically a, you know, Saturday evening television match on a pay-per-view. So not a lot to talk about here. After this one, we get a Falls Count Anywhere contest between one Cactus Jack and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. This one goes a little over 12 minutes with Jack getting the W in this one. Not too surprising when you really honestly stop and think about it, based on where Orndorff is at this point in his career. And where Jack, appears to be headed. He's the younger talent, the upcoming talent. Orndorff's kind of that old vet, still kind of hanging around, credible name, but all in all, the brighter days of his career seem to be behind him at this point. Next up is an odd one. Actually, we get a Smoky Mountain Wrestling matchup on a WCW pay-per-view, as the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton, taking on the Heavenly Bodies, consisting of one Dr. Tom Pritchard and Sweet Stan Lane, who have Jim Cornette as their manager. Just under 13 minutes in this one. It was a non-title matchup, even though the Bodies were the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions. So they ended up retaining, obviously, because it was a non-title bout. But the Rock and Roll Express does pick up the win in this one. Not really sure what the point of this was, but all in all, it was at least a quality match to watch. Next up, the United States Championship is on the line as U.S. champion. The Natural Dustin Rhodes defends the title against Max Payne. He ends up retaining by DQ in around 11 and a half minutes. Payne was at a late replacement for an injured Ron Simmons, so it's not a real big shock that Dustin retained in this one. But it just the DQ finish, because Payne pulled the referee, and putting hands on the referee, et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, it just didn't make a lot of sense as to why this one's going on here. I think they're trying to push Payne as a babyface, and then having him go in there and get a DQ just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But whatevs. Next up, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. The Great Muta defending his title against Barry Windham. Muta had the legendary hero Matsuda out there with him. This one goes over 24 minutes. Windham actually ends up defeating Muta to capture the title. So Barry gets the elusive NWA World title he seems to have been chasing since the mid 80s. Finally gets a hold of it here. So big pop from the crowd for Windham in this one. And then the main event of the evening saw Sting challenge Big Van Vader, who was out there obviously with Harley Race for the WCW World Championship in a White Castle of Fear strap match. Now, how this was different from any other type of strap match is beyond me. This was a point in time when WCW was doing a lot of really cheesy mini movies to try and promote a lot of their matches, especially their big main event matches. They were really bad, really cheesy. So maybe that's kind of why they did the whole thematic thing of, oh, it's called the White Castle of Fear, just to try and tie something around it. I don't know, but anyway, Vader did retain his title in this one, just under 21 minutes contest here. So, in terms of Hall of Famers on this show, we had 11: Reyes, Orndorff, Austin, Wyndham, Mick, Sting, Ricky and Robert, Davey, Vader, Muta. I mean, actually, Matsuda would make 12. I mean, he didn't do anything when he was out there, really, except stand there, but he was out there. And then if you throw Ventura and Bischoff in the mix, commentary and interviewing, etc., it gives us 14 Hall of Famers. So, pretty decent representation for the Hall of Fame on this card. But all in all, even with all that Hall of Fame talent out there, this show, the matches for the most part were all pretty solid matches, but there was just no story to almost everything on this card. They were all just kind of throwaway matches when you really stop and think about it for the most part. I mean, Jack and Wonderful, was really the only undercard matchup with any kind of story behind it. I mean, it had some beef, and stuff leading into it, which led to the Jack babyface turn a little bit prior to all this. But that was really the only undercard matchup with any kind of story. The Smoky Mountain match, I mean, I guess that had a story between the Rock and Roll Express and the Heavenly Bodies, but nobody knew about it because nobody was really watching Smoky Mountain Wrestling because it was just a regional show. So for a national company like this to turn around and bring them in with no real background or anything, so like, yeah, I think they had some story and some beef there, but nobody knew about it. The NWA title, I mean, outside of the fact that it was a title match, there was no real beef or story there. It was just, Wyndham getting his opportunity. I mean, Sting and Vader had some story to it. Like I said, they tried to make it more than what it was with all the cheesy mini movie stuff. But outside, like I said, of Jack and Orndorff and Sting and Vader, there was no story going on any of this card, regardless of how good the match quality was for the majority of this. So on my 10 belt scale, I'm just gonna give this a 5. Um, you know, quality wrestling, no story. So they got half of it right. They gave us good matches, but there was no real story. So I can't go better than 50%. Excuse me. I can't go better than 50% on this one. So that's that. Next up on the old classic retrospectives, we'll take the old Wayback Machine and take a look at the third and actually what would end up being the final WCW Japan Super Show. So tune on back in for that one. And as always, wherever you are, hope you're doing well. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. Take care of one another, and I will see you all when I see you.